All right, my friends. So we do these little overview sessions of and training sessions of my business, basically of my business model. We do them about once a month, and every time I do it, I usually meet at least a handful of really cool people that I ended up building relationships with or connections with long term. Jason Thompson's actually one of them. Dan Lassman's one of them, and they kind of came into the orbit. It's really cool. It's really cool what we do, and then hopefully maybe one or two of all of you guys we could do the same thing, build a relationship of real estate agents far beyond just a training that we're doing today. What's up, Colin? Cool name. So basically the training we do offer a training. It's a full course training. I'm just to let you know up front. At the end of it, if you want to move forward with the training, great. If you don't, that's fine too. We'll still be friends, and at the very least, you're going to get some really valuable nuggets of information here. And hopefully, if you're in a rut or trying to figure things out, maybe this could be the catalyst to kind of push you forward, or maybe you just want to hang out. Everyone has their different reasons. What's up, Last? So so basically, let me get set up here. The way I do business is different, and I love teaching it. I didn't ask to teach this stuff. I was asked to do so many years ago, and then over time we came out with a full blown course and training and all that stuff that I use on my team. Personally, I am a real estate agent, and that I teach consistently. As a matter of fact, I was in Kendall, Miami, teaching. It was a 6 hour class in a room with no air conditioning, by the way, last week, and I'm doing it again in Boca Raton, Florida, next month. So this is real stuff that I really do and that I actually do for my team. And it's the only way I would want to do business. And it's really exciting stuff. And the title, as you see there, is legit. It's how to realistically and drastically change your real estate business without chasing people or burning out while loving life. Because let's be honest, if you do real estate the way we're told to do real estate for so long, you will get burnt out and you will not enjoy it. I was one of those things, guilty as charged myself. So basically, who is this for? It's for any real estate agent who is tired of spending a fortune trying to figure it out and wants a quick, proven way to grow their business in a unique way. And it's also for people who are seeking clarity of what their business should look like while be supporting with positive, like-minded people. What I mean by seeking clarity, I have been in this space for a very long time. More on me in a few minutes. And I would say that whenever I talk to agents, whether on my team or colleagues or people in my office or training or coaching or anything, the biggest problem is up here of not knowing what their business will look like. So they're jumping up to all these little tiny things, all these things that pop up, the shiny object syndrome, where anything that remotely looks interesting, they jump all in instead of focusing on something. And I hope that what I present to you today, I know what I present to you today is something that will get rid of all that if you do it. So, keep an open mind and move forward with that. My wife just texted me. Oh, she sent me a funny website. Okay. So my promise to you, if you stick around today, is that if you do these things that we teach you today, that you will become, I guarantee, a top producing and highly sought off real estate agent faster than any other way without discounting or begging ever. And if you do what we do today, on top of that, you will do so without lowering your standards. That's what I put in the bottom right there. Meaning you don't sell yourself out. You don't reduce your commission. You don't beg your friends. You don't get mad at your friends for not hiring you. Go on Reddit and cry about it. You never have to worry about those things again. So two people who've been through my training who were real estate agents and are out of the business, but they work in the real estate space. I thought I should give quotes from them. And the reason why I'm going to give quotes from these two people who've been through the training and seeing what it is because they are around real estate agents consistently. That's their business model. And they've been around all the gurus and hot shots. And this is what Steve Dahlia said about it. He says, I am blown away by what Chris and Dana put together. I have purchased tons of trainings and not one coach comes close to the value delivered here. And Maris Lamson, she runs one of the largest real estate marketing firms, catering just to realtors on their social media. And so she's been on stage with endless amounts of quote unquote gurus and coaches and trainers. And she said this, she said, what Chris has created is something special. I've heard from just about every guru out there and nothing compares to this. I didn't ask him for that stuff. They supplied that. And I thought that was a really good way just to let you know, you guys are in the right spot. You're not wasting your time today. This is my humble opinion, is that if for you to truly fall and stay in love and be consistent in this industry, you will need to do the methods that we're going to be teaching you today. I know this from experience. And so I've learned these methods and this way of doing it. I hated my life. I was not a happy person. very depressed, a lot of anxiety, and all that has gone away. I'm gonna share with you what it is. But who am I? Roughly speaking, I've been in real estate for 22 years, 18 or so as a realtor. I didn't really get serious in the business until my wife got pregnant with our first kid in 2011. And I would just show you some recent sales so you know I'm actually a real estate agent. That might be really hard to see, but over the last 3 years, I have earned $560,000, $642,000, and $633,000 every single year. That is not team money. That is my money in my pocket, doing the methods that I've been teaching today. And I do that with a very, very large family. So if anyone says I don't have time to do it, my life is too busy, that is a bunch of nonsense. There is time, and I'm gonna teach you strategies towards the end of this today to make sure you get your time back and do things the right way. And if you follow this method and you follow these systems, you don't have to jump around a million different things. You can focus on just this model, and you can be busy as heck with me with a personal life and a family life and still run a very successful business, all while not doing these things here: cold calling, chasing crap leads, door knocking, or begging. All right. It's really, really cool. Basically, what I did was I took the old traditional models and flipped it on its head because I didn't like the way they were. But I did do the traditional models up until I want to say around my baby girls. These are two of my girls here, my twins. Obviously not identical. These are my twin girls, and I don't forget what birthday was. It was like maybe they're turning 5 or 6. And what happened was we were sending out invitations to them for their birthday party. And on those invitations, they'll come back, and some people couldn't make it for one reason or another. And I was cool with that. I was cool with people just not being able to make it. Maybe they didn't like the menu. Maybe they had the prior obligation. Maybe something came up that's unforeseen. Maybe they just don't like me. Maybe they don't like my kids. But whatever. It didn't matter to me. They just couldn't make it. But what I realized then at that moment, like I didn't care, but I cared so much when people didn't hire me to be a real estate agent. Like, why did I care so much if people didn't hire me? But I didn't care so much if they didn't want to come to my girl's birthday party. It's kind of like weird, right? So, and I realized what it was that I was kind of doing business the wrong way. I was looking at it the wrong way. And this is one of many different reasons of how this overall training have come about. This one moment, I realized in this moment that I just wanted to be respected by my clientele. And I felt like I was coming off as a sleazy sales guy. And maybe that's why they didn't hire me. Internally, I was kind of unfulfilled and a little disappointed of what I became. If you actually look up who are the least trusted people in society, salespeople are last behind politicians. Even prisoners, I think, are more trusted than salespeople. And internally, I was like, I'm a salesperson and people don't trust me, and people might think I'm a sleazy sales guy. So internally, I was struggling with that realization of what my career might have a perception of others of my career is, right? But I was determined to change this. I didn't want to do that anymore. The thing is, I didn't really know how to do it. Like, so I hit a wall like this, like a brick wall mentally. I never heard of anyone changing the business to more of an invitation model, right? So I decided, if I go back a slide, that I wanted to give out invitations to my business. And if people replied to that invitation, great. If they didn't, then they didn't. And I wanted to make the invitation so great and so wonderful that more people would want to go to my quote unquote party. But I never heard of anyone doing a business like the model like this in real estate. All I heard was FSBOs, expireds. You guys can relate. Cold call, door knocking, buying and chasing crap leads. That's all I heard. And I've done a lot of that previous to this way of doing it. But there had to be a way, right? There had to be a way, because I knew there was other businesses out there that weren't chasing people like hound dogs like we are. There had to be books. There had to be courses on whatever, marketing, human psychology. And how can I take that knowledge that I learned from those different sources and just apply it to real estate? That's essentially what I did. And that was my epiphany, my light bulb moment. I read endless books about storytelling, the negotiation tactics, marketing, the science of sales. I even hired expensive marketing companies too, just to figure out what they did. And I realized that a lot of businesses were in the attraction business or invitation business. And in other words, they put out their invitation for people to come to them, and people came in. It really inbound sales. And I wanted to figure out how to apply this to real estate. I wanted to love what I did again. And I wanted to be able to hold my head up high. I didn't want when people say, "Hey, what do you do for your living?" I go, I'm a realtor. I didn't want that anymore. I wanted people to know who I was and just really come to me instead of that and saying things like, "Hey, Chris, do you have time to list my house? Hey, Chris, I know you're a busy guy. I'm not sure if you'll do this, but can you help me buy a house?" I wanted that. And that's what I have today. And that's what you'll have today too, if you utilize some of this stuff. So, but it wasn't at this point of the story, I wasn't there yet. And I needed to get there, and I needed to get there fast, or my mental health was about to explode. So what I did was I created a plan. I was going to organize my time on a time sheet schedule, which I still work to this day. It always sits on the side of my desk. Here's my schedule for today. And I started implementing all these new things that I would learn for these other businesses. Right. I would learn something new. I would try it. I would adapt it. And what worked, I kept, and what didn't, I didn't keep. I got rid of it. A lot of trial and error in this process. The thing is that none of any of this stuff was really proven on the long-term scale. And all of it cost time and money without the guarantee that it would work. As a matter of fact, on my team meetings now and on my coaching meetings now, a lot of people often say, well, how do I know it works? What's the proof it works? And I didn't have any proof it works, but I knew that I had to find a different way. And internally, I did have some self-doubt. I was just saying, well, why don't you just do what everyone else does? Just give up. Just do what you always did before. And maybe like, you're probably wasting your time. People close to me didn't understand why I was working so hard to try to get to these new ways. Basically, I felt alone in this process. But then boom, all of a sudden out of nowhere, I quickly blew up within 4 or 5 months of I quote unquote figuring out. I'm still figuring it out, but really figuring out the overall system of this. And it was weird. People started asking permission to talk to me. Do you have time to list my house? Like I was saying before, right? Instead of saying, hey, I have 8 realtors, I'm going to interview 8 of them, come to my house. I would hear that today and I won't even go. I don't have any interest in that, right? My time is valuable. You don't get that back. I'd rather spend my time building relationships with people who do value me and only want to talk to me. And you'll get there too. But excuse me. Basically, I got to the point where I couldn't keep up with all these inbound calls and requests. I had to hire people out. I had to hire other agents on my team and admins and stuff like that to help me run things. I have a couple employees now and a bunch of agents now because I simply couldn't handle the business that was coming in. And I was getting overwhelmed on work, and then other agents were asking me for help. And I kept getting asked to teach classes like this one. Business just exploded, and other agents noticed as well. And they wanted the same thing. And I guess sort of, kind of, that's how this all started, doing these trainings and courses like this. And essentially it really created a new me, a new sense of purpose. I wasn't uncertain about how to do my business. I built systems and models on these new methods. And I just wasn't like everyone else anymore. I wasn't a commodity. I was different. I was sought after. I was respected. And not just by my clients, but also by my peers and my family. And what's really weird, that's kind of how it is now. I'm kind of like a little local celebrity and highly respected from my friends and family. The perception of value that I put out there and the way I do it is rather unique. And I became a more relaxed person. And overall, that made me a better dad and a husband. Because when you're relaxed and you're comfortable, you can now separate yourself from all those stresses because they're not as heavy, and spend time with the ones you love with more meaningful present time, right? And it took me 14 plus years to really discover this when I first got into real estate, that the hard way of doing it was quote unquote the normal way. And it sucked. It sucked. And if you're doing it now, it sucks. Let's just admit it. It sucks. And if you have been struggling up until this point, the reason why is that you were probably told to do things by real estate coaches, trainers, and gurus who don't do the stuff that they're preaching themselves. Instead, they're telling you what to do. You probably know there's a better way out there, but you didn't know where to look. Welcome to today's lesson. I hope this is the first day of a long relationship we have together. Maybe your colleagues who were doing well in real estate were less forthcoming and they didn't want to help you all that much. That definitely happened to me. And maybe your friends and family are annoyed with all the sales pitches you're giving them. I'm a realtor, right? They get it. They know. So is everyone else. Maybe you feel unsatisfied. Maybe you're anxious. I certainly was for a long time, and I know a lot of real estate agents are. So the hard way that we have been taught actually goes against our P&L method, a profit or loss method that we should be running as a business. Basically, we're told to call people that don't want us calling them. That's easily $3,000 a year. We're sending mailers to people who don't want them or know you. That's very expensive. I'm being conservative, $6,000 a year. How about buying and chasing crap leads, especially from companies like Zillow, which is insanely expensive. And these people have no loyalty to you. And I'm being conservative here with online leads at 10 grand a year. Or maybe you hire coaches and trainers who don't do the business themselves. I can tell you most coaches and trainers are about at least $1,000 to $1,500 per month. And they're not doing it. You know what they're doing? They're coaching and training to do it. Because if they were doing it, they'd be so busy that they wouldn't have the time to have a whole slate of coaching students as their full-time business, right? Just doesn't make sense. And they're not ingrained in the business. They're not doing it themselves like I am day in, day out. I showed you with my numbers earlier to prove that I am an active agent. You can Google me too. You can check my listings out on realtor.com or Zillow anytime you want. I really do this. And there's thousands of hours are wasted, right? So what I'm going to show you today, you don't have to do that ever again. And we're going to do that live today. And it starts with my 3-step process. One, I kind of hinted at it earlier. One is I'm going to determine the guest list of the people who I want in my world or at my party, my business per se. I'm going to invite them to RSVP to my party. And I'm going to deliver to them. I'm going to deliver what I promised them in my marketing material and my persona online when they decide to come to my party or hire me to represent them. You do that with 2 different ways. One's unique value proposition. That's very cliche, so I don't like to talk much about it. You've heard other people say it, but we're going to dive in a little deeper about exactly what that looks like and also what your brand is of you as a human being. So let's dive in a little more. Secret number 1, the first step of all this. You only need a few people on your guest list or your database or the people that you market to. I'm going to show you why you should and how to cherry pick your dream clients and only work with those people who you enjoy being around, right? If someone gives you agita or stress, I love that word agita. If someone gives you agita or drama or stress or any anxiety, you don't send them invitations to your party. You don't want them near you. And that's the same with your business. And the second thing you want to do is get more people to RSVP because you want to perfect your invitation. Your invitation is your type of marketing that you're going to be doing. I'm going to show you how to do that. And it's imperative, super imperative to stop selling what we are. And we're going to start sharing who we are as a person and what we can offer them. And the third step is how to throw the party that we promised them in our marketing or in our invitations so they get what they expect. So they come back to your parties over and over again, and they tell everyone about this cool party, and you can add them into your Dream 300 database, which we're going to cover right now. So that's step 1. So if you're like the rest of us, you've been likely told a bunch of things to be successful. And if you're like most of us, you've likely jumped from one thing to the next, looking for the magic pill or the thing that excites you. So you may be thinking that this might not be the business for you, but I'm telling you that this is the case. This is not the case. It sure is. You don't need 1 million people to market to, and you don't need 1 million things to do. Truthfully, you only need 300 people. And if you choose the right people and you give them the right message on the right platforms in the right way, you now have the real secret of success for any business, not just for real estate. I learned this the hard way, as I mentioned before, and it took a lot of reading and various sources of information and trainings to change everything. So here's one such source. It's called the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Book. I always just call it the MREA, so I stumbled over the title of the book. I read this book. If you become a Keller Williams agent, if you're not, you should be, and I would love to be your sponsor. But let's say even if you're not, you can buy this book. And if you become an agent with Keller Williams, they offer you this book, and it's a must read. But there's a couple of pages starting at page 142 that really got me. It was in this part merging with all those other things you spoke about earlier that really was like a big aha, like, wow, okay, I get it. And at page 142, it says it right there. At the heart of your lead generation program will be a large, powerful contact management database. Think of the names of the people in your database and the relationships you have with them as your business. Your database is your business, building up the number of names in it. And the relationship with those is really at the very core of what building a real estate business is all about. I guess the way you can think of it, and we can condense into the size of your business will be direct proportion to the size and quality of your database, right? Now, when I say size there, they don't specify what size means. And so I'm going to tell you why you don't need that many. And you might be wondering how many, and I already alluded to you before. How many people do you need? Well, according to the book, and these numbers have proved true in my business, 1 out of every 6 people that you do this properly with will net you 1 sale. 1 out of every 6. So for me, for 300 people, market to properly out of 1 out of 6 will get me 50 transactions. Or get you 50 transactions if you do it right. Right now, so that's 50 sales. So once a week, that's great. If you take a vacation, that's 1 a week. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to close in a week. I got more than double that actually. So anyways, but the cool thing about it is that only 10% of the people in your database is going to directly call you. They're going is going to be the people that's in your Dream 300 database going to tell other people about you. That's going to take up 90% of your business. And why is that cool? The reason why that's super cool is that these new people that are entering your world, if they are some people that you want to send your invitation per se, now you can throw them in your database. You can add more people for more sales, or you can, if you have 300 people or 200 people or whatever, and you don't like somebody, you can get rid of some of the bottom feeders and replace them with the new cool people that you got. It just makes your database stronger and stronger over time. It's really awesome. Now, the reason why this model works so great is that before anyone hires you for anything, they have to have the processes has to go, the brain's very linear, right? In the process of how people hire you. That's why if you send out one mailer or one postcard, no one calls you. It takes a long time if you're familiar with farming and farming and real estate, I should say. So this is a cliche too, but because they don't explain it. A lot of these people who do these coaching and training just say this, but they don't know the meaning behind it. So when people know, like, and trust you, you've heard that before, but they also have to remember you. But why is it important for people to know, like, and trust you? It's because if they don't know and like or trust you, they're not going to hire you, right? So so if you're marketing to people who don't already know who you are, that you're sending invitations to, they have to now have extra steps. They don't know you, right? You see that in the top left in orange. Then they have to meet you, and then they have to get to know you, and then they have to like, trust, and then finally remember you. There's all these extra steps. And because usually if you're marketing to people who don't know you, for the most part, it's kind of expensive. Most of the time, you just have their physical addresses for the most part. And so you have to rely on physical mail, which is pricey. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to go through each part of this slide because I know it's a lot. This slide's from another class that I do, a subclass of this. But if you compare what it takes financially for you to make $500,000 a year using the farming method that a lot of real estate agents do, compared to with your Dream 300 database method, which I implore, you can see in red under each one of those a significant difference in cost. And it's a lot more fun doing the one on the left and the one on the right for a number of reasons why. Another book that really made me this all came to fruition. I'm a big avid reader. Actually, I have stacks of books here. I can just randomly pick up a stack of books whenever I want. I'm always reading, not so much since my new baby was born, but prior to my new baby, I was an avid reader, 10 pages a day. I'll get back to it when things stabilize. But anyways, that's not about me. We're here about you. But one of the books I did read back then was called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. And I learned something great about Chet. But real quick about who is this guy, Chet Holmes, is that he is actually the gentleman on your right's employee, excuse me. That's Charlie Munger. And Charlie Munger's business partner is the guy on the left. That's Warren Buffett, right? So he worked for these guys. But here's the thing, as brilliant as these gentlemen are, they had a financial magazine in New York City that was dead last. It was either 17 or 18 magazines. And what a financial magazine is exactly what it is. And they were dead last in terms of advertising dollars, meaning the advertisers felt more value in the other magazines. So they marketed there and not to Chet's and Charlie Munger's and Warren Buffett's magazine. So Chet's job was to fix this problem. And so he got really, really smart. What he did was, he took a list and made a list of there's about 2,000 companies who are advertising inside of these magazines. But out of those 2,000, only 167 of them were spending 95% of it. So what he did was, instead of marketing to all of them, he decided to get rid of the 1,833 who are only spending 5%. And then he started spending more time and money and energy on the 167 of the people who were spending the money. He double, triple, quadrupled down his marketing dollar, money, efforts, and time into the quote unquote people who mattered, right? Or the more important people, the people who were spending most money, or the more people he wanted to market to. In the first 4 months, nothing happened, which is awesome, by the way, if you're relating this to realtors, because realtors quit super fast. So if long as you stay on focus, you're going to realize marketing this hard to these people, nothing's going to happen at first. But in the 5th month, he got Xerox. And in the 6th month, check this out, 28 of the 167 signed on. When I read this in conjunction to all the other things we spoke about earlier, it was like this big aha moment. I needed to send invitations to the quote unquote people I wanted to send them to, and the people more likely who's more likely than not to accept my invitation. All these things started coming together. And I realized from reading the MREA book I mentioned earlier, that I only need 300 of these people. And it was like a big aha, right? And I spent the first 17 years and tens of thousands of dollars in real estate before I learned this. That is my actual first headshot in 2005. I was actually in real estate at 2001, actually at the end of 2000, in the year 2000, right after I graduated high school. I got my license 5 years later. Before that, I was a TC transaction coordinator, and I was an apprentice for a house flipper. And then, anyways, so when this guy here didn't know that it would take 17 years, basically, well, not 17 years from this shot, but a long time after this headshot before he would really figure it out. There was a lot of stress and anxiety behind that smile then all the way up into that to recent times. So what's cool about this thing is it works for basically anyone. It works for new agents looking to start their careers off right, not to make the mistakes that I made. Veterans who are simply burnt out and looking for something new, and part-timers looking for a really enjoyable way, realistic way to leave their other career. Right now, if you're a part-time agent, you're being told to do all these other things that are not really growing your business, and they're very transactional based, calling leads, etc. And you're just not going to do that. After a while, I've been in this long enough to know that you get to a point where people are just not interested in those things. They're not fun to do, and they're just going to go back to their other job. This method here is designed to build your business the right way, where your phone rings and not theirs. And then all of a sudden you're getting a sale and then another sale. And then you paid off the debt that you had. And all of a sudden now you get another sale a month or two later after that, after 5-6 months of it. And now you're ahead of the game. All your debt's paid. You have 2 or 3 months of salary in the bank, and then another one, and then another one. Then you have 6 months of salary in the bank. And then you can quit your job and really focus on this. So it's really, really cool. All right. Basically, as I mentioned before, it works for all types of agents. I'm going to give you an example. This is my friend Courtney, who was in another career before then. She actually bought the first version of my training, and she admitted to me she only did 10% of it. She tripled her business. December of last year alone, she made $84,000. Right. I think she started in 2018, 2019. She started doing well with another company, and then 2020 is when she tripled her business. And then last year, just in 1 month alone, she made more than her previous job's salary. And again, she admits to only doing a portion of it. And just to verify, you can look her up on social media. This is a post she made right after her big year in 2021. Right in the middle of that, she says, "I got to give a shout out to Chris Cusimano for your advice, and your advice and trainings are priceless. Thank you for all that you do to myself and other agents." I didn't ask her to post that. She did it. She did another one a little bit later that year, and right in the bottom. She says, "I never thought I would learn what I have. Thank you to my mentor, Chris." And that's just doing 10% of it, right? So the question is, what about you? I haven't met anyone that this doesn't work for. I've met a lot of people who don't work, but I haven't met anyone that does work this and they're not successful. So the only really hurdle I get at this point from a lot of people is saying, "Hey, I am new to an area. I don't have a database." But the cool thing is about us, we offer specific strategies. Actually, I just taught another hour session of it on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesdays we do trainings at noon, and that was it. I did the 5 ways to grow your database, even if you're new to an area. So there are strategies. All you got to do within those strategies, which is in our training, we don't have time to cover them today. Those are all long, I would say long, not winded, but those strategies take a long time to explain, I should say. So step 1, you'll just pick 1 or 2 or 3. And I'll just tell you, they're absentee owners, they're business to business marketing. There's farming the right way, not with postcards. There's doing local events, what I call the Facebook groupie method and the Facebook fan page method. Those are definitely different ways that I would do it. And what you want to do is you can cherry pick people that you meet with inside of those different methods and then put them in your database until you have a really robust database where you don't need to do those other methods before. And that's basically what I mean. You cherry pick those people and you put them into the system. It's really, really cool. So if you don't have a database, or first off, you probably do. And I teach methods of how to find them. But if you don't, you legit don't, there are ways to grow your database. And we throw all of those different ways of growing your business inside of our training also. So it's really cool. So that was the first one. So the second part of the system was, well, the first one was to get people on our list, right? And the second one now is how to get people to RSVP to our party, to our invitation. And this is where the selling it's really not really selling, but kind of is. And we're going to do number 3 in a second. So how to get more RSVPs with a perfect invitation, and why it's imperative to stop selling what we are, stop saying we're realtors, and start sharing who we are as people and what we offer. Now, this story that I'm about to share with you of how this came into fruition has probably happened and occurred in my life and probably yours 1,000 times. And basically, what happened was I have two friends of mine. So where I used to live in Parkland, Florida, right across the street, there was a pizza place or a restaurant where they had an outside patio. And I would always walk by there, walk my dog and my kids by there in the strollers or whatever. And I saw two friends of mine outside on the patio eating. And one of them goes before I even get close, like, "We know you're a realtor, Chris. We just want to eat." Giggling, right? They obviously had some Merlot or Chardonnay in their glasses. They got all confident. But anyways, but I knew at that point that, or actually I knew before that I was that guy. But I also, like, I mean, that guy, that sales guy. But I knew I thought I had to be. That's what we're taught to, right? Be aggressive of who we are. But what happened next is when I finally realized how big of a turd that I had been and why I should probably adjust my methods. The other friend said, "Well, Chris, if you promise to talk about anything other than real estate, like your family, your dogs, anything, we will invite you to join us for lunch." And that was like a huge moment. It's like, I don't have to be a realtor who happens to be a dad or this or whatever. My invitation should be, I need to be a dad. I need to be a dog lover. I need to be all these other things who happen to do real estate. I need to flip that because people don't want to be around salespeople because, as you spoke about before, we're one of the least trusted people in society. They want to be around you, your person, your brand of you as a person, I should say. And really, the sales approach that we were so used to is kind of dead. Actually, you might recognize this term. It's a Latin term, caveat emptor. It's a very well-known, popular phrase. Well, I wouldn't say popular. And what it stands for is buyer beware. So even back in old Roman Latin times, they would have a big emphasis or distrust in their emphasis of real estate agents, not real estate, sorry, salespeople. To be aware of salespeople as a buyer, you need to be aware. And the reason why is there's a thing called information asymmetry. And information asymmetry is where information is asymmetric. My face is asymmetric, if you will. One of my eyes closes more than the other one. And now that I told you that, you're not going to be able to unsee it. You got to find the eye. But that's what being asymmetric is they're not matching. So the information that one party, a seller, and the other party, a buyer, is not the same. And why was this before the internet? Is because, let's say if someone was selling, I don't know, this pen, I have a pen here or a marker pen, whatever it is. And if I'm selling this pen and I made this pen and then I travel to the other village 5-10 miles away with no internet and no source of confirming what I'm saying is accurate. And I say, this pen does this, and this, and it even glows in the dark at night and it cleans your toilets and there's this pen does all these amazing things for you, right? Then the buyer who may not know any better might buy this pen. And then when the salesperson left, the seller left and went back to the village, there's no way to find them because, they didn't have cars back then. They're easily find people. They can disappear. And they didn't have the internet to track them down on Facebook or anything or Instagram, right? So that's where buyer beware came from information asymmetry. And that's what sales has been for the longest time until the internet came around. If we're being truly honest with ourselves, our clients don't really need us for information. They know more about, I took 2 listings yesterday and both of my sellers knew more about what the comp should be, what we should price it at and all that than I did. Right. So we need to flip us from trying to be these talking head know-it-all realtors, which is a turnoff anyways, to now sharing who we are as a person by telling our brand in the form of storytelling in multiple different ways. I want to explain the difference between a business and brand real quick, because this might get lost in you. It's kind of important. A business is the product of the business, right? So Nike sells shoes. That's their product. Other things, but mostly shoes. And Lincoln sells cars, automobiles. But the brand is, Nike's brand is the Michael Jordan. And Lincoln is Matthew McConaughey right now. Because why? They're just people. But what they're doing is they're trying to sell, like, you can be like Mike, if you will. You can be like Matthew McConaughey, if you will, if you correlate yourself with the brand, their story behind the brand. Well, we don't, as real estate agents, we do not have the luxury to hire a Michael Jordan or a Matthew McConaughey, which is kind of convenient because now we become our brand of who we are, which we could put on our invitation, right? So as a matter of fact, on the left side is my logo, which should be on the right because that's more of my brand. But the business is me. I'm a realtor. But the brand is my family, my dogs, playing video games with my son, my gorgeous wife, my tagline, call me, I'm friendly, and my logo. Right. I need to move that over. So that's the difference between the business and a brand. So why do all of these big companies have brands, but realtors don't? Why don't we tell our story like big companies do? They're doing it for a reason. Another great book you might want to pick up is called Rethinking Salesforce. And this is just one of many excerpts that I really like in it. But for the purpose of this quick training today, this is a passage I really liked. And it said, buyers increasingly place value on how the product or service is sold to them rather than on the product itself. The sales process itself plays an increasing role in creating customer value. The process, them knowing your brand and trusting who you are as a person, as opposed to information asymmetry as a way it used to be. And with your brand, the only really good way, in my opinion, to build a rewarding and fun, positive business is to create raving fans of your brands. So your brand is your story. It's your client. It's also your client. See, I didn't put this in originally. I wanted to put this in now. What it seems to be missed by people is also the experience that people experience when they're interacting with you. So if your brand is like mine, a family man, father, active parent, dog lover, all that, and then if someone calls me and I'm like, "F you, buddy," blah, blah, right? It goes against my brand. So the client experience and the persona of, well, first you should be who you really are, just a good person, but it should match. It should match. So the experience, the positivity that you, confidence and demeanor that you relay over the phone or in person is part of your brand too, right? The cool thing about this is that no one can borrow this from you, and this is what your people want. So let's just give them what they want. And what's really cool about it, I have a whole class about storytelling. We don't have to go into it now, but I want you to know this exists. Maybe you never see me again, but so this would be a cool slide I want to throw in there. Is this is going to ruin TV for you, but once you know this slide and you can master it and all the information in here, it's going to kind of change the way you consume content. It might actually ruin TVs and movies and even some books for you, because every successful movie, show, or a story out there follows this storytelling format, briefly speaking. And why does this make sense? I'll tell you in a sec. But briefly speaking, you start each story with an idea or a character, right? But there's a problem that happens, and then what happens is you're searching for a solution. Then you find what you feel is the solution. Then you hit with another problem based on that solution. You find a solution, but more problems came up. So you're searching for the final outcome of it all. Boom, you win, success. And the goosh is the end of it, the goosh at the end. So you hit the climax of the movie. The movies very rarely end right at the climax. There's like a backstory. So let's say someone gets married is part of the success. The boy gets the girl, they get married, but at the end of it might be showing them having a family or holding hands in a park, or them, at 80 years old, a couple years down the line, getting old and dying together, right? That might be the goosh, the back part of the story. A good example, I guess, I don't know, you can pick any movie. I don't know, Spider-Man. They introduced Spider-Man and his awkwardness, right? His awkwardness was really a problem. He had a problem he was getting bullied, picked on in the Spider-Man movie, at least the one I saw, had problems getting the girl, right? And then what happened? There was something happened. He got bit by a spider. That was his answer. And then the spider made him a superhero. But guess what happens to being a superhero? All these other problems came up. He had all these super villains, and he had all these responsibilities that he had to take care of. And guess what? He beat the villains and he got the girl, and then he was respected by his friends. He's no longer bullied or any of that stuff. And I guess the goosh, it's been a while time since I picked that movie or saw that movie, so I don't even know why I picked it. But the goosh, I guess maybe he was holding in his girlfriend's hand or something. I don't remember. But anyways, you get the point that they all follow that timeline. So you should need to be following that timeline if you're ever going to start selling your story to your people. And I recommend that you always do want to lead with your story and make sure that you're likable, dependable, positive, and you're a competent person when you're telling your story. Because why? Our colleagues are doing it wrong. We see it all the time on Instagram and Facebook and all these posts, right? They're alienating themselves. They're like, everything's real estate. Every post is real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. And they don't care. No one cares. No one cares. They care about you. No one cares. They're overselling themselves. They're bragging about every single award they're bragging about. By the way, if you're a realtor for long enough, you're going to get an award. They give awards out to everyone. They give participation awards. You showed up at the office 3 days this week. Here's an award. And people brag about that. And no one wants to see you bragging about that, right? And that's what our colleagues are doing. So it's really easy to stand out amongst the crowd in this way. And it's not their fault. They just don't know better. At the end of the day, people hire who they admire. They don't hire who they despise. They don't hire who they loathe. They don't hire anyone that they're jealous of. They hire people who they admire, people they can connect with, right? So that is you as your brand. And that's a way for you to market yourself going forward where you don't get burnt out because it's just your story. The other way of doing it is selling and telling people. I always, I love that saying, stop selling and telling. Because when you do, you really get ripe to being commoditized. So I'm going to talk about the second part of this, your UVP, unique value proposition, is how to never become a commodity again. By the way, I know this is a lot. But I'm trying to cram as much valuable information into this just in case you never see me again, right? Which would be silly, but full of knowledge. But anyways, it's kind of this is really important. I want you to understand what a commodity really is in terms of real estate agents, how to never be that again. People are just selling that they're a realtor. People don't perceive them as any different from any other realtor. And they're seeing a lot of realtors telling they're realtors. So basically, they become a commodity. And a good example is like those hamburgers on your screen. A commodity is something that's available in many places. So they don't see much difference from one thing to another. If we imagine that these two pens here, these two markers are exact same thing, exact color, the exact brand, exact experience, same cap, everything's the same. What makes one more valuable than the other? What makes this more valuable? If they do the same exact thing and they're the same exact everything, the only thing that's going to separate them is the price. And that's why people ask for a reduction in commission because they don't see any difference from most realtors to the next. And a lot of our colleagues who don't know any better and they don't have any cojones, that is Japanese for something. If they don't have cojones, then they don't know how to express their self-respect or value to someone where they're not commoditized and they're not forced to drop their price. And we're going to talk about why that is because there's this thing called price discrepancy. Buyers are always looking for a deal. And when I mean buyer is a consumer of a product or service. So I guess technically in our industry, a seller is looking for a deal. And they're only going to pay what they perceive your value is. So if they see that if their normal price for the longest time was 6%, but what happened is our industry got flooded with part-time practitioners as opposed to really valuable and experienced and solid business people. So the value, essentially, the perception of value has gone down because there's so many realtors now, and there's so few that's offering anything of unique value. So now that's why people are reducing the commission because they're not offering anything. But why don't we flip that on its head? Why don't we raise our value as a collective whole as real estate agents and raise our commission to 8%? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Well, the reason why is because it's not, no one's really thought about it. It's easier. It's much lazier just to drop your price. And the irony of the laziness is the less money you make, the harder you got to work to make more money. So, you can be lazy long-term and work harder long-term, or you can just put in the work up front and then work less hard later on because you're making more money and people are coming to you. And we can do that. We can raise our value and charge more. So I'm not going to I have a whole class on how to do this, but I'm just give you a quick cliff notes real quick. How do you do that? Real easily. Let's say if you are a discount broker and you're only offering 2% on your side, and say your commission on that's 10 grand. What happens if you offer 10%? What would you do for 10%? Make a list of everything you would do. Would you walk their dog? Would you get a car wash service to go to their house and wash their car every weekend for the open houses? Would you do a mega open houses? Would you do a walkthrough video tour? Would you do retargeting ads? What would you do? Make a list. And if you're stumbling on a list, well, guess what? Students of my course, I have my whole list of the things I do in my menu for them. This is something that I don't give away for free because I worked very hard on it. But the students inside of our course does get this. If you want to make your own, but you can skip that step. But anyway, so when someone ever asks me about what my commission is, by the way, that very rarely happens. And I don't call it a commission. I call it a menu, a marketing menu. I simply hand them this PDF or the screenshot on the phone. I'm like, you choose. The choice is yours. And I never go less. So if we're taking 6 and 7%, we're taking 3.5% on our side, right? Plus 279. Side note on all that 279 there is really for it's for negotiating purposes. So when someone's like, hey, will you do it for less? Which very rarely happens. Because remember, I created my guest list and I don't really have too many mooches on my guest list. But I'm like, yeah, I'll waive that fee for you or something like that, right? Most people pick the 6 package, some do 7, and I want to say maybe 20% do the 5% package. Most do 6 and 7, or 6. And the whole goal of all of that is not to say what your commission is. The whole point of that is to give them an enormous amount of value you're not getting it anywhere else and have them say this. Oh my God, I get all of that for that, right? That's what you want them to say. For now on, when you are consuming any types of products moving forward, what you want to do is never, or services, you never want to ask them what their price is. You want to ask what you're getting. So let's give a good example. What if we had 2 people? What if you need a new roof and you had these roofers come out and one roofer didn't tell you the one guy just, hey, I'll do your roof for X amount. But the other roofer just said, hey, listen, in addition to the roof, I am going to fix all your gutters. I'm going to replace your fascia board. I'm going to get rid of all the spider webs and cobwebs that are growing under your whatever your easement or your whatever it's called, your fascia board. And I'm going to clean out all of your attic vents. I don't know if everywhere has attic vents, but Florida we have attic vents, so it doesn't get too hot inside. And I'm also going to add a nice layer of insulation inside there to keep your house nice and cool, right? And then you're like, oh wow. And what if that guy just charged $2,000 more than the next guy? Would you do it? Hell yeah, you would do it. Because all the services that he's offering, if you did them a la carte, might cost 7, 8 grand, but it's only costing you $2,000 now, right? And that's so it becomes a deal. But really, to the roofer who's already there, they already have to rip off the fascia board to do the stuff anyways. And so instead of putting the old fascia board, just slap on some new ones, and they're already on the roof anyway. So how hard is it to get a brush and clean off the cobwebs? Same thing with real estate agents. We're already in the trenches marketing, doing all those things for them. Why not we just put some things in organized fashion to get it there, right? So far we're on step 2. Is this cool? Is this awesome? You guys like it? I know you guys can't talk, but if you can put it in the chat. I am a high I personality. I do love feedback, and I feel like I'm just talking to the wall right now. So tell me in the chat if you think this is cool, please. Honestly, that's just my reason to get a glass of water. But thank you, Patrick, for playing along. The rest of you guys are either don't know how to use your chat or you fell asleep. Either way, we're all good. We're all good. So a lot of people who reach out to coaching and stuff always want to know. They don't know better because they're usually rookies or newer agents, and they don't really know what's right or wrong. I love that with my team. When someone's a newer agent and they join on to the Homespot Cusi team in Florida, they don't realize how good they got it until they talk to some of the more experienced agents that are on the team that have to kind of set them straight. And that's, but anyways, the reason why I'm saying that to you is that if you're new and you're trying to figure things out, well, check it out. Here are 2 people who went through the training, became rookies of the year in their office the first year. This text on the left for this gentleman, Jason, that's his rookie of the year award. Look, you can zoom in and see it's real. I didn't Photoshop it. And it says he was at another training event with some high level gurus. And he texted me this during it. He said, you should be on this panel. It's on social marketing. I get way more out of what you say than these guys. Thanks for what you do. He gave me a couple of hearts. Don't know why. I think he's straight. I'm not sure, but hey, he's a loving guy. And he says, I'll be sending a few people to you to introduce you so they can be part of your suit up agent training. Awesome. Thanks, dude. And then Marisa Holtzeller, who I actually recruited after becoming rookie of the year, after going through my training. She's on the Homespot Cusi team now. But before that, she goes, I would be lost without this, Chris. I probably would have given up. So thank you for what you put together. It's changing lives. Right? Love it. All right. So the 3 steps real quick. Number 1, you pick and cherry pick your guest list. Then you're going to try to get more RSVPs to your party based on your guest list with the perfect invitation. That's what we just covered in step 3. You're going to throw the party that you promised. And how do you deliver? How do you deliver what we promised these guests, right? So that's the last part of this, right? Because at this point, we know that you don't need to work with people you don't want to work with, other than people you choose. You only need to laser focus on a few people. You don't have to do 100 different things. You now have to market who you are in your UVP, which we just covered in the last section, instead of what you are as a realtor. And this by default will uncommoditize you. So you're no longer have to reduce your commission in order to compete. And now we got to do step 3. We got to deliver the goods of the people who went to the party. And we have 9 minutes left. So I'm going to go really quick over this because it can get really in the weeds. But basically, the Cliff Note version is you need to create a perfect listing presentation because they're going to call you and you got to explain how you're going to deliver the goods. And inside of my training, I actually created the perfect the format of this that takes their mind on a journey to get them to hire you without even questioning your commission. And by the way, I do all my listing presentations sitting right here. That's why there's a green screen behind me. Plus I do other video content. And I never do listing presentations in person. I shouldn't say never, very rarely. And I teach you exactly how to do listing presentations sitting here so you can save the stress, anxiety of having to go to the house. They don't have to clean up for you. And you can bang them out much quicker because now you have an actual format to follow, which is here. It's a lot of information. If you decide to not move forward with the training or never see me again, at least take a picture of this with your phone and try to replicate it yourself. And this whole process follows what I call the persuasion equation. There's actually an equation that you could put in order to help persuade people to move more towards hiring you. And it's right here: how to solve problems, how to be different with a different product, how to provide their dream outcome, how to tell them, how to guarantee that they're going to minimize their stress, how to convey the perceived likelihood of success if they hire you, how to do it on their timeline. It's kind of big. A lot of realtors say, I'm going to show you how it's fast. But some sellers don't want you to. So how do you do it on their timeline when they want? How to do it with a positive, energetic way, and how to guarantee your results, right? If you can present this all in this listing presentation timeline, good for you. By the way, inside of our training, you get a copy of the listing presentation, my actual slides that I do, and a 7-day listing course, which I'll tell you about is including with it. Takes you step by step of how I put the listing presentation together and exactly how you can do it too. You just swap my face out for yours. You're ready to go. You don't have to spend the $1 trillion in time figuring out like I had to. And number two, once you get the listing, you got to organize what you're going to deliver, right? So you have a party and you said you're going to have, I don't know, shrimp cocktail and a chocolate fountain and all this stuff. How do you make sure you deliver on that? So I teach you how to do it within inside of the Keller Williams ecosystem. In the Keller Williams ecosystem, we have this thing called commands where we can create a checklist based on the package the client chose. And then we can, and within this checklist, it tells the people who are running this part of the business what to do and when to do. And then it emails a update to the client and myself. And there's other things you can do in addition to that if you're not with Keller Williams. But I just want to show you that that is something for you to explore. It's just kind of organizing things. And basically, you're going to have, if you go back to the menu, let me see how fast it takes me to get there real quick. So here's your menu of all the things that you're going to deliver, right? Now we'll go back to where we are now. And you want to find the vendors for those things. If you said you're going to do a gifting program or you do gifts throughout, say you're going to send them boxes or or candles or whatever. If you have a gifting program and they hire you to list their house, find a gifting program for that and put it in order. If you say you're going to walk their dog, get dog walkers on your Rolodex. Create a delivery services if you have to deliver some products. If you said you're going to get a limo to pick them up, take them to dinner and drive them home, or a limo to pick them up with champagne, bring them to closing and bring them back, then you might need a concierge for those things or a concierge to handle the changing of the utilities, right? So you got to find vendors to support the things that you gave on their list. So real quick, you got to craft a perfect listing presentation. You're going to organize the deliveries that you promised them. And then, of course, you need to find leverage to back end support to fulfill that stuff. I know this seems like a lot, but it really isn't once you build it. And it's a true business. People forget that real estate's a business. It's not a part-time hobby for extra cash on the side, which I hear so much. Those people don't last long or do well. It's a real business. And this is the cool thing about real estate is the only business you can essentially get in with for only about $1,000. Every other business you start, you got to have overhead and all this other stuff, signs on your facade and all this other stuff. So it's a pretty cool industry if you do it right. So before this, we had to cold call, door knock, what I call spray and pray mailers, chase crap leads around. And some people are dancing on TikTok for some reason. I don't know. That's your thing. Whatever. I don't get it. But hey, if you like it, do it. I just don't get it. And you don't need to do it, by the way, if you don't want to do it. The truth be told, only 13% succeed. 87% of the people who get into real estate are out by year 5. And actually only 2%, I believe it's 2%. No, it's 4%. Only 4% are making any significant amounts of money after that point too. So really 96% of the people don't do well in this industry. It's because they have to do all these horrible things and they get burnt out and they don't treat it like a business. So our training walks you through that process. I'm going to give you another example. This is Janelle. She got a real estate license. She called me struggling one day. I walked her through some help with pro bono. She did a couple of my things and then she called me for more training. I told her, hey, listen, I love to help you, but I got to get paid here. Dive into the training. She did it and she became top sales performer her second year in her office. You can look her up on Facebook, Instagram. She's constantly doing closings. Her exact quote to me was, "You changed my life. I owe you everything." That's great. I don't have an ego. At least I don't think so. It's not for that. But it's that you are changing lives and the way we do things are. And that's why we do what we do. Okay, so those are those 3 secrets of how to do it. We now know that now we know what to do and why it works and that it works. So the question for you is, why not you? Why not you, right? Why can't you do it? So this was a lot. And but the thing is, it's the future. Is though you probably know at this point is something you want to do. I laid out a very compelling case that makes sense with proven data and information and examples. The question is, do you want my help with it? Do you want me to take you step by step through the process? If you do, great. If you don't, you don't. It's cool either way. So I'm gonna ask your permission, if you will, to make you an offer of how to move forward with this if you want. I'm not an annoying sales guy. Maybe if you caught that with my demeanor, it's not what I want to be. I just want to give you something cool, but I know it can come off as salesy. So I'm gonna sell you something here in at least annoying way as possible to let you know it exists. Hopefully that's cool with you guys. All right. Thanks, Cleveland. Oh, thanks, Jason. So basically what you get with sign of my training is a video on demand training course that's broken up over 45 days. And in those 45 days is really shows you all the cool things I do with inside of my marketing. You can get them on any of those platforms, iPad, your computer, phone, wherever you want. It's really, really cool system. And it's, again, like I mentioned, it's 45 days on demand. What they basically are, they're really small chunks for the most part. We're talking 3 to maybe 7 minute mini snippet training videos that shows you how to do that thing for that day. And then the next day you do the next thing. And over 45 days, you should really totally get all the cool ways that you can reach out and tell your story with your invitations the way that I do. And you don't have to do all of them. You got to pick the ones that work well for you and just make sure you're doing enough and do it consistently, right? So inside of this, I'm going to show you, in addition to that, if you said, I don't have a database, well, I'm going to show you exactly where you can find your database that you probably haven't thought of. And if you don't have a database, well, I teach you 5 different ways of how to grow it too. That's in there also. I'm going to show you exactly how I market, and hopefully you copy me by doing your story invitation step by step, exactly what I do day in, day out. And I'm also show you some things that you might not have considered. How do you set up your business legally, and why should you? Should you do a PA? Should you do an LLC? We talk about that, and if you haven't done that yet, you definitely need to dive into that for tax purposes and in case you get sued. But that's for the training. You'll check that out. I'm going to show you really cool ways how to leverage Meta's or Facebook and Instagram's algorithm, because I leverage the algorithm daily, and a tons more stuff. Another example of someone went through the training. She said, thanks. This is a real Facebook message, actually. Thanks, Chris. I couldn't have done any of this without you guys. Your training videos and these groups have made a big difference in my life. So thank you for giving us all of this opportunity. I really appreciate it. Another person sent me this text of them on the first version of their training, actually. Or maybe that's the second version. They said, just had to tell you, this is awesome. I'm legit going step by step right now as I'm doing it. I love this. So again, this is for every real estate agent, whether they're new or old, it doesn't matter. It's for you. And I also told you, if you don't have a database, these are just some of the different ways to show you how to do that. So we already spoke about that. I can skip that. And we're running out of time. So what are you going to get? Well, you're going to get my 45-day training. I'm modest when I say the value is $595. I showed you I make $600,000 every year. I would say this training is worth $600,000, but I'm being modest. For 1% of that, I think it's not even 1%. It's like a 1/10% of that. $595 value, you get the training. In addition to that, every day I have my task list. The task list on here correlates the different ways that I market and do my invitation within the training. And I try to collect 100 points every single day. I still do this to this day, and so does my team. And I fill my schedule, my daily hourly schedule, with the things on my task list. And every day I fill these out. I do them every day. They're always on the side of my desk every single day. And what this does is creates a lot of clarity in my day and what I'm going to do. So I'm never staring at the wall and wondering. I have my whole day planned out. And I usually fill that out the night before or early in the morning, one of the two, based on how my schedule is looking out. What's really cool about most of those things that I share with you in the training, it really gets rid of the uncertainty of your day. If you have a problem completing tasks and you do this, you won't. You put it on your time frame, you time block it, and you do it. You can delete all the other training marketing emails out there because you no longer have the shiny object syndrome. Focus on this. It does work. I guarantee it. You don't have to buy leads. You don't have to pay for marketers. You don't have to do any of those social media auto posters, those lame templates that people say they're going to post on your social media for you, asking people if they like a kitchen or something. No one cares. You don't have to get a dialer. You don't have to get lists for FSBOs, expireds, and so much more. That's what those lists and this marketing gets rid of for you. I don't know. I slapped on $100 value for that. Again, for peace of mind and clarity is a lot more than that, but I'm trying to be non-salesy and try to be as helpful as I can. So you get that. In addition to those things, you also get the second version of the training, which is there's a lot of longer form trainings with a lot more details in there with a lot of other information. We were going to delete that, but we're like, you know what? there's really good stuff in there. And maybe if someone wants to dive into that to mix it up a little bit. So version 2 is also in there. And that's a $1,200 value because we were charging about $100 a month for that back in the day. This is just some of the books that I read. You can try to read, this is just a fraction of them. You can try to read these books and figure it out on your own, or you can just, you know, if whatever value you put on reading books and taking out things that work a trial error, then, I just want to say there's more value than just monetary. Time value is actually more valuable, in my opinion. Also, I'll give you that 7-day listing course I was telling you about before. 7 days. In 7 days, I go step by step on how to build your listing presentation and exactly how to present it. You never have to do a listing, figure out what's the perfect listing presentation. I did it for you. And you don't have to worry about making your slides. You get the slides and you just got to slap your face where my face is. Pretty cool. So I only gave that a $300 value because that's what we're selling it for standalone on our website right now. And we have a 5-day, and then we also have a 5-day buyer course. It's kind of done already, hour format. I just need to chunk it out. And that hour buyer course is in there. Really cool ways to make sure your buyers never cheat on you again. I throw that in there too. I just got to break that up. So it'll be on there very soon in my negotiation course. We have a bunch of negotiation trainings in there. I just got to chunk it up and clean it up. It's already in there. It's just not cleaned up. So that's why it says coming soon. But it is, the way I negotiate is already on there. Negotiation is key to getting things moving in the way you want to get in the move, not just for business, for your kids, your wife, your husband, whoever you're with. Okay. And then also we do live trainings every Tuesday at noon Eastern. I mentioned I did a training this Tuesday at noon about the 5 ways that you can grow your database if you don't have a database. We do that 3 times a month also. That's really cool. It's like a tight-knit group. It's usually between 8 and 20 people. All of our cameras on, and we're just talking about stuff. It's more of a casual flow. I'm showing you cool ideas to do things and answering questions. And we have a really cool group of individuals I really like on there. So you get that as well, which is invaluable because most trainers charge $1,000 to $1,500 for 2 phone calls a month. And we're rolling that live training in there for free. It's pretty awesome. So you throw all that in there. You got about a value of about $20,000. We also have Mayor's marketing. I convinced her to do a mini social media Instagram training for you and threw it on there. Basically, she just took a Cliff Note version of her training and is giving it to you for free. In addition to her mini training, which we're giving to you, she's also going to do a free Instagram audit for you, which she charges $300 for. So what she does is, because she's an Instagram master, she teaches it for a living. So what she does is she's going to go through the training in there, which is free with this. And at the end of it, you send her your information and she'll do an Instagram audit for you for free. Really cool. Love that she's doing that. And again, standalone, that's $300 she charges for it. On top of that, that wasn't enough. I have my friend Susana Madrano out of Texas. She runs a team that does about 1,000 transactions a year. She does it in a different way that I do it. So in essence of having the most robust and fulfilled training on the market for the price, I begged her to do a mini training lesson to explain how she does business, just in case maybe I'm not your jam. It's cool. There's a lot of girls who denied me in high school and college, and maybe you're someone who's denying me too and might like her better. So she's in there too. She has her mini training also. We threw that in there. I think she charges like $600 alone for that, and she gave it to us for free. After about 90 days, we also created an online shop for you. Basically, you give us your logo after 90 days and we create a little online shop. I don't make money on this. I lose money if you only order 1 product at a time. And if you order 3 or more products, I think I make $3. It's not for me to make money. I have a bonus training there why you should only be promoting your brand. You shouldn't be wearing Nike or your favorite bands or your favorite or the Miami Heat or whatever your team is. You should be promoting yourself at all times. So we try to give you a really easy, quick place where you could order your stuff. So after 90 days within the training, we'll open up your shop for you. Just send us your logo. It's really cool stuff. So you get all of that. You probably think this is like $1 million, right? But there's one more thing you get with me. You get a one-on-one coaching session with me, which I valued at $1 million. So for about $1 million, $21,000, $1,021,000, you get all of that. And if all this did was to give you a blueprint to really make a difference, would it be worth it? Took away your anxiety, would it? Even I just did that. Or have you get some clarity on how to structure your day and your life, be a better person, husband, family man, or woman, or wife. What if it just gave you one deal? You made 10 grand. Would it be worth it? Well, you don't know because I don't know what we're going to charge for it. So wait for it. Charge on $1. So we'll let you have access to it for $1 for 90 days. Cool. So for 90 days, you're going to explore all the stuff that we spoke to for $1. And after that, we charge you $2.21 a day. Right. So you just click on the link in the chat, or you go to getsua.com and then you use the code at the bottom of your screen to get that. Just to remind you, at the bottom of your screen is how you get it also. All of this stuff for $1 and then $2.21 per day. After that, cancel anytime, no contracts in that. What I recommend for you guys is that after 90 days, you put it in your calendar and then you say cancel Suit Up Agents training. And so if you spend, so that way you don't get charged for that following month if it's not for you. That way, the only risk for you is $1. And you're probably like, why do I do this? All right, well, listen, I showed you my income. I'm not doing it for money. I just really, really like helping people and to change their lives. That's really big. And I know that's cliche, probably corny. You might not believe it, but it's kind of cool. For the selfish reasons, I have built relationships with agents around the country who now refer business over to my team out here in Southeast Florida. We're out of Boca, Coral Springs, Parkland. And I could guess say that's a big driver of motivation too for doing this. Also build a more awareness. If you want to follow my social media stuff, I guess that's a bonus too. YouTube and all that stuff. That's kind of awesome. So that, I guess there's some little perks there also. Basically, if you haven't noticed, what I'm trying to do for you guys here is say, wow, I can't believe I get all of that for that. Just like you want to do with your listing presentations. Cool. So again, it's $1. Here it is. It's $1 for 90 days and then $2.21 a day. This code ends midnight on Sunday. Midnight, Sunday night. We do this once a month. At Sunday, this code turns off and you would have to sit through this presentation again whenever we do it next, 3 weeks from now, to get it for $1. So you have until midnight Sunday. On top of that, I'm going to give you a guarantee. If you do everything that I show you to do and you answer your phone, and this is very conservative, you will make $50,000 more this year in additional revenue. I'll give you your money back. You're whopping $2 and something a day. I'll give it back to you. Right? If you don't make at least $50,000 by the end of the year. I want to say 100 grand. I don't know. Maybe I should change it to that. I do have a rule though. I would ask you very nicely, since it is so cheap, don't share the login information. If we get to a point where we are making some money on this, then now I'll have the ability to hire more people to create more cool stuff. Like I had to, these things weren't free. Susana Madrano, Maris Marketing, the online shop, and all these cool things. This time that I'm spending here with you instead of with my team and on my business, this stuff is not cheap. So to run all the back end support and all that, the monthly fees and cost of running the platforms. So if you share the login information, A, it's kind of lame, but B, it just hurts yourself, because if there's never going to be a profit here, I can't use any of the profit that we might make one day to add more cool stuff for you in the future. So just don't share it. That's all I ask. Here's another text that I received. Hey, Chris, this is by far the most, from a student, an active student. Hey, Chris, this is by far the most comprehensive, accessible, and user-friendly real estate training ever. Right to the point, no time wasted. Love it, man. I'm very grateful for the time you spent developing this and the ability for myself to have access to it. Thanks again. I wrote back, hey, thanks, man. And yes, that's it. $1, 90 days, $2.21. Does anyone have any questions they can talk or want to put in the chat? I see there's a bunch of people here already. I do have to go. I have to get my kids from school, but I have probably like 3 more minutes if anyone wants to chat.
Looks like Clevens has a question. So Clevens, you can go ahead and talk. You are unmuted now.
Oh, cool.
Hey,
up,
Chris. Chris, how's it going, man?
What up?
Hey, I didn't get the house. She texted me last night. She sent me an email. She said that there's a bigger offer that they went for it. So I learned everything. So now I'm in the training. I'm learning your training. Okay. So I think the next one that I sent an offer is supposed to be good.
Yeah, you just get, the more you do, the more you learn. Just for you guys who are still here wondering, Cleveland went to my training on Tuesday and he asked for advice and an offer, and I gave it. I actually happen to know the real estate agent, and she reached back to us and advised us of what to do, but unfortunately we weren't the top offer. It's going to happen. That's going to happen a lot in your career, just so you know.
Yeah.
You guys got to, so sometimes you just can't compete. You were doing conventional mortgage at 3% down, if I recall. Someone might have came in with 50%. How are you going to compete with that?
Nah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, don't worry about it. You'll get the next one.
Oh, well. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bro. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, my friends, I want to thank you for your time. I hope you learned a lot. I hope this is not the last time I see you. I hope you're smart and you have $1 in your pocket that you can spend And if not, that's cool too. I'll get you on the next one. And that is it. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great one. Bye, guys. Oh, thanks, Colin. Really nice of you. Thanks for saying that. And thanks, Patrick. Hopefully, I'll see you around. Bye, guys.